God. Jesus. So there is your little sneak preview of the Corsa long tube headers catless double helix X pipe with the active exhaust. Full review is coming. Don't worry. It is crazy power. But the weather sucks, so let's just jump to the video. The weather outside is raining still, but we do have Alex Spooling Up Performance here. He stopped by to see the car and all of the progress that we have been doing to this 2019 Mustang so far. We have the JLT intake, we have the Corsa headers, which we just put on, the double X pipe with the active exhaust, all that stuff, the Palm Beach tune, and we have his car over here, which is a 1LE Camaro, and he's got long tubes and all that stuff done to his. And you have something special in your garage you're working on as well.
Oh yeah, yep.
It is a one of a kind. I don't think anybody else on YouTube is actually doing this.
No one else in the world, as far as I'm concerned, is doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's a sick Mazda build.
Yeah, it's a RX-8 complete Mazda Speed 3 engine swap. It's going to have a lot of custom bits with a Turbo 400 trans. It's going to be a full drag setup. Yeah. And yeah, I'll probably be the only one that has it. It's getting a lot of love right now, so we're pretty excited about it. Got a lot of big things coming this month, so it'll be pretty cool.
Yep, so definitely go check him out. I'm a big supporter of his channel and everything he's doing because he's like me and he works on his own stuff. And I refuse to let anybody else touch my car.
Garage built for life.
Yes. So, and you can save a lot of money doing it that way by yourself.
Absolutely, dude. And so, you learn something. And
you learn things. And that's what we like to show on our channels is you can do this all in your garage. We did the long tubes and all that on jack stands. And it's pretty easy. It just takes a little bit of time. But that's one of his cars. He's got the other one. Go check him out. But we're going to dive into today's discussion. And I think it's going to hit home with a lot of you guys looking to buy the new 2020 GT500 with a manual transmission and not the dual clutch. Yep, here we go. All right, so what we are going to discuss is that we just got back. We got back from the unveiling of the Shelby 500, and there was a lot of stuff that we liked, and there was a lot of stuff that was missing. And one of the biggest things is, you know, the manual transmission. And my working theory on this whole thing was, you guys know that there was that silver one that was up in the corner. So there were some Easter eggs that were floating around that Ford just didn't want to come out and show us. You had to look at it from a distance. So would that one have had a manual transmission with a base model? We don't know because Ford's not saying anything. But here's my theory. You have the 2019 GT350 and 350R that are still out. They got the new spoiler. They got all of that. And the 2020 Shelby is right around the corner. You know, we're going to be approaching that here in a few months.
Yep.
So here in about 11 months, you should start probably seeing that car. But I think that they're keeping their mouths shut because they don't want it to hurt the actual 350 sales.
It makes sense, honestly. I mean, if you look at just the history of the major car companies and how they play their cards and how they release cars,
yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're planning on doing. And honestly, it's a smart move as far as a business standpoint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, only time will tell, and it'd be pretty interesting to see.
Because let's look at an R. A 350R is around $70,000 if you can get one around MSRP.
Right.
You know, these days about 65. But everybody's thinking that the GT500 is going to start around 70 to 75,000. So if they release the information that there is going to be a manual transmission with all of that power in the 500, I think that if I was a new shopper, I would just sit tight for about 6 to 8 months and save my pennies and then put it down on the 500 and skip the R, because you have all that active aero, all of that stuff that's going on with the car. It's got a beautiful front end, lots of cooling. It's going to be a track monster. We've all heard Chris Owens talk about Venom kills demons, and the two cars are unrelatable. I mean, is it going to kill demons? Who cares? It's not going to on a drag strip because you can't put a drag pack on the back, at least not yet with or without spacers. But it's going to be a track-focused car, and that is also what a 350 and 350R is, especially the R. So that's kind of my working theory. I don't think that we're going to see a GT500R. Now, you guys are definitely open to comment down below and disagree with me and then talk about it. But I think that they're going to have the base model, and it's going to be like basically one trim. So then you're going to have the carbon fiber options and all that stuff with the big spoiler, all the additional aero that is on the car.
All your add-ons.
That's going to be the R version, because that's what the current 350R has. It's got the bigger spoiler, the more aero in the front, the bigger splitter and all that with the carbon fiber wheels, and that's what we saw there at the show. But we didn't really get to peek at the base model that was hiding up there in that little display. So that is what I think maybe Ford is just keeping hush-hush on about. We do know that there is no definite power numbers. Ford does have a track record of coming out and saying, like, for example, the GT350 was coming out. It's going to have more than 500 horsepower, and it came out with like 526.
Right.
You know,
I think it's a smart move for them as well, because if you put an exact number on it, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
Because, you know, wherever that car was tested, it may have been tested in a couple places, but people live in different places, different elevations, you know, stuff like that. You know, people will be disappointed if it doesn't put out the number that, you know, they hope for. So I think with them putting like a broad, you know, 500 plus or 700 plus, I think it's a good move on them. Because if it does come out more, then, you know, they're on top. Yeah,
so I think that, like, there was a leaked document that came out, and it talked about a bunch of it looked like it was going to be fake. 4,200 pounds. It was going to, the red line on the thing was correct. It says 720 horsepower at 7,500 RPM.
Wow.
We now know that 75 is actually the red line. So there was some other information that went on about that, that kind of, and it talked about 650 pound-feet of torque. Based off of a 5.2 liter, and I believe it's a 2.7, I could be wrong, 2.7 liter blower on top of the car. That kind of makes sense.
Right.
Talked about a lower top speed, about 190 mile an hour. That is probably still up in the air, but when you go to a car that has a lot of aero on it, I mean, it has a lot of downforce, but it may hinder its, you know, its top speed.
Right.
Something
I mean, that's
to think
just,
about.
I mean, if you look at, you know, let's take for advantage, like just any kind of aero in general on a drag strip is could slow you down if it's in the wrong areas. I mean, just look at, like, I don't know, Cletus for example, like he has the big ass wing on his car, and if he runs with that, he'll run significantly slower. So, you know,
in a straight line.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
We're not talking about track stuff.
Right. Track stuff, you want that stuff to keep you down in the corners and all that stuff. So.
Right. So this is going to have, it's got big brakes, the biggest brakes I've ever seen on Mustang.
Yeah, they looked pretty massive when you were showing them.
They're so much bigger than the what we have on the 350 right now.
Crazy. So now so me not knowing, this is me being, you know, not knowing the situation, but so now that the GT500 is coming out, is this going to be the end of the 350?
I think that they're going to kill the 350 at the end of 2019, and I think that they should. And when they do that, the value of the 350 is going to go up, because, so let's say that the 7-speed dual clutch is the only transmission in that thing, and it's going to leave a lot of people out. So what I think that maybe Ford is just holding back. They're not giving us all the information for a reason, and that is so that they don't hurt the sales of the GT350. That's my working theory. We've been back from the thing for a few days, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. The honeymoon phase is kind of dying, because this thing is incredible. All right, 460 horsepower from the factory, crank horsepower, and then these things are showing over 700 horsepower, no matter really which blower you go with. You go to the Whipple 3.0 or, you know, a Vortec, and then especially run like long tubes, E85 and all that, you're going to see horsepower ranges on the normal GT, you know, upwards of north of 700 and into the 750 range or higher, potentially, depending on the rest of your mods. But that's kind of where I'm going with this. I think it's a freaking awesome car. The 500 will be, but I think that there still may be a manual transmission that they are working on, and that may be a base option, because they showed us everything. They showed us the top dog on stage. That 500 had the carbon fiber package, had a full interior, the digital display, the carbon fiber wheels, everything. You know, and that's typically what Ford does, but they had that base model just tucked away.
You know, honestly, I think that, man, just me, like, thinking just out there.
Yeah.
I honestly think that there will be a manual transmission.
There has to be.
And the reason I say that is because, especially if they're going to kill off the 350, why would you not have? Why would you just leave the manual transmission owners to a GT?
They're gonna. They would.
I mean,
many people would be upset.
You leave so much on the table as far as, you know, customer base. I mean, there are some people that are diehard manual fans that will not buy an automatic car.
Yep.
So, you know, you're going to lose out on potential buyers.
I got friends that have the 350s, and right now they're all screaming, "I'm going to keep my car." You know what I mean?
And, you know, if they don't come out with a manual, you know, I would too. You know, the value, and let alone the value of those cars could possibly, you know, do either one of two things. It could plummet or it could skyrocket, because if Ford does not make the GT500 in a manual,
yes,
then it's going to be, you know, potentially the last track-ready car that comes in a manual transmission.
Yeah, I mean, Ford is moving in the direction with the 10R80. This is a 10R80 car, and it's designed to shift as fast as possible, just like that dual clutch. Now, there's a big difference between this transmission and a DCT. You guys are all familiar with that, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse on how those operate. But the dual clutch has a lot of cool features that the 10R80 just can't do. But as far as it shifting around, it's about the same. It's about the same speed. You know, you just have a little bit less gears. You got 7 gears with that dual clutch, but the thing is going to be a monster either way it goes. But I think that, yeah, I really think that they're just holding off for the reason of the 350 still being in existence. Once they decide that, all right, this is it, there will not be a 2020 350, which there should have. The 350 was only supposed to be a 2-year run anyway.
Right.
16 and 17, and they carried it over 18 and then 19 with some, you know, different spoiler and all that stuff. But that's just my working theory. You guys are definitely welcome to comment down below. Let me know what you think. Because, I mean, think about, especially Ford, if you're watching this stuff, and I know that you are. I know that you watch these channels. You are going to really, really hurt yourself if you don't come out with a manual transmission. Yes, the dual clutch is the big boy. It's going to be the faster one, all that, but you're going to miss out on all the purists. You're going to see people that cannot get used to that little turn knob. I mean, I would get used to it, but anyway, that is just my whole thing. I think that let's just hold on for a few more months, because I think that it's definitely coming. So guys, don't freak out just yet. Remember, we don't even have weight. We don't have horsepower numbers. We don't have anything, any information. That unveiling it showed us literally nothing new. But I think we just need to stick with it and just wait for that manual transmission to drop. I really think it's coming. It would be an idiot thing to do not to release that. So that's...
Yeah, man, I don't know. I do know that Ford probably has one of the best, like, marketing secrets in the game, because honestly, over the time that people knew the car was coming, there has been really no sure information.
No, it's all been rumor
on the car. It's all hearsay.
Yep.
And even when they reveal the car, there's still questions. There's so much on the table that was unsaid that, you know, could potentially be there in the future.
And this is really nothing new. If you guys have been around Mustangs for a while, every time they do an unveiling of something, you know, even with the regular Mustang GT, it was like that. It was super hush-hush. We knew it was going to come with direct injection, but we didn't know what the horsepower was. We had an idea, but Ford was hush-hush until the very last minute. And then you guys remember when they did the 2018, the first like commercial that went around and showed the car and all that, but they would not pop the hood for nothing.
Right.
They still wouldn't release information. So that's my working theory is, don't worry. Again, a manual transmission will come. There's no way that it's not going to. And I really, really wish that they had that base model down on the ground, because that's the one that I like. They had the smaller spoiler, had a little bit less aero on the front, and I would have liked to see like what the base model seats look like. Or do they all come with Recaros? So again, that's just more information we just don't freaking have right now. So anyway, stay tuned to the channel. If you like this information and you have some stuff you want to comment, and you have some things you want to add, definitely drop it down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, because we're over here talking about how we're going to budget this in. Contrary to popular belief, I am actually not rich.
Everybody thinks that a YouTuber is rich.
They think that we're all rich. Actually, if I told everybody what my car payment was, they would freak out.
Yeah.
But anyway, it'd be, oh my God, Xander, you're so irresponsible. Well, look, I mean, this is a loaded car.
Irresponsible in some way.
This is true. Cars are irresponsible. They're not investments. They
are.
depreciate in value, so we're all screwed. But anyway, Boost is coming. We're going to replace the GLT with something magical that goes into the center somewhere in this vicinity of the engine bay that will make this thing have over 700 horsepower. We're going to run E85. We have the long tubes again. I think that I am the only one on. I think I'm the only one on YouTube that actually has done the Corsa long tube catless XX with the active exhaust, at least on YouTube at least. Anyway, so pretty cool. If you want to follow this build, definitely turn the notification bell on when you subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel. And other than that, we will see you next time. And follow this guy. Follow this guy. Just go check him out. Spooling Up Performance. If you don't like it, I'll sub.
Throw it in the trash.
I'm guarantee you're going to find it interesting. So I'll see you guys later.